That's my thumb. Stop that. Hi guys. Today I am here with my Lendrum wheel. There are many Lendrum users out there, and I found that when I got my wheel, finding instructions on the care and feeding of it was very hard. So I thought I'd do just a love my Lendrum quick overview thing, because I really do love my Lendrum. I think this is like such a fantastic wheel for beginners and advanced spinners. It's kept up with me through everything I've done, and I just love it. So I'm going to do a tear down, clean up, put it back together, give you an idea of how to take care of your wheel and how to do the various things that we need to do with our wheel, etc, etc, etc. So I'm just going to grab what I need. I have my toolbox here. I need my applying head and my bobbins, my flyers, all that stuff. I'll gather it all together and then we will go through the care and feeding of a Lendrum wheel. 1 second. I think I have everything I need. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take apart our wheel. It's been a while since I've done this. So your drive band is this stretchy, I don't know, rubber type thing. I don't know what it's called. Around the back is the knob to detach your head. This is the standard head. So we just untwist that knob, and you can use that to adjust the height of your mother of all, I guess we'd call it. So I'll take this off. Now, it's winter right now, so everything's good and dry. But in the summer, when wood tends to expand with the humidity, you want to make sure you're periodically loosening your knob, or it might get jammed. And then you'll have a hard time getting it off. So we'll set our flyer head aside. Now I have both my drive bands on here, and that's because right here, what holds the footman connector to the wheel, there's a little C-clip that's a bit of a pain in the butt. So I have both my drive bands on so that I don't have to pull that C-clip off every time. But since we're doing a tear down, I'm going to take it off, except I don't have any pliers. I'm so prepared. Give me a minute. I'm going to grab some pliers. Haven't had it off in ages, so it probably won't hurt to take it off. I'm too old to sit on the floor. Got my second toolkit here. And I have just a little pair of needle nose pliers. Yeah. Just get this cradled here. Now the C-clip has an opening, so you need to just grip it and pull it away from that opening. There we go. There's our little C-clip. Don't lose that. So once you have that C-clip off, you can pull this out, and you can see I've put in a little felt pad that's very worn down. And here's my microfiber cloth to clean up. I'm just going to give that shaft a clean. Now, you will read that you don't lubricate Lendrum wheels. But what they mean is you don't lubricate this bearing. This is a sealed bearing and does not require lubrication. However, your other pieces and parts will require lubrication. So I'm just having a look at this bearing to see how it's holding up, and it looks like it's still doing pretty good. So I've just got a precision screwdriver. I'm just going to use that to just clean the inside of that bearing and get all the old grease and muck out, and we'll put fresh grease in. So you can see the old grease there. That's all nice and clean now. I'm going to give this a polish. Look for any nicks or anything that might harm it. All looks good. Now my wheel, gosh, it's got to be at least 12 years old, if not older. And I mean, minimal maintenance, very minimal. Now, oh yes, we're going to do a complete teardown. So let's take these drive bands off as well. So now you can pull your drive bands off. I keep a little Velcro wrap around the upright to hold my drive band that I'm not using. I just wrap it up, stick it back there so it's not in the way. And I can take that right off the wheel. So there's my plying head drive band and my regular head drive band. There should be a size difference. Now these bands will stretch out over time, and you can just find the seam. Here's the seam. And you can cut out a chunk and then just heat it with a heat gun or a lighter and just glue it back together. So these drive bands can last for a long time. I've never replaced them. So like I said, the wheel's, I think, 12 years old, maybe even older, and I've never replaced my drive bands. They hold up pretty good. Now, at one point, my wheel started rocking. This was the bolt that was loose. So you need to torque this. The torque specs are on the website, but I can't remember what they are. But use a torque wrench to do it because you don't want to over tighten it. You'll hurt the bearing. Now, there is another C-clip down here that holds your treadles to the wheel. All right, I'm going to pull that C-clip off too. Do not lose that. You need it. All right, and then you can pull this off, and now your treadles are disconnected. And again, I put a little felt pad on there just to help with noise, so there's less noise. Now, this is a mess. So we're going to give that a good clean with our microfiber cloth and our little precision screwdriver so we can get it into that little bearing. Now, all these little bearings you can get replacements for, so if they wear out on you, you can replace them. So the connectors, the one on the right hand side treadle goes all the way through this block and into the upright. This one is shorter and just goes into this block. Again, I have never changed these in all the years I've owned it, but again, parts are available. I've never changed them. All right, so we're working our way down. Now we're at the bottom here. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can get this up so you can see. But there is a pile of dirt in there and grease because I lubricate these points as well. But for now, I'm going to take my handy dandy and I'm going to scrape out all that dirt, and you'll get hairs and wool and stuff wrapped around the shafts that the pedals pivot on, as you can see. But I'm going to fold this up because it's becoming a bit of a pain trying to control this like this. On the back of your wheel at the bottom, there's another knob. You can take this knob off. Again, in the summer, you'll want to keep loosening it a bit or it's going to jam on you. If it hasn't been folded in a long time, that's going to jam on you. So what I'm going to do, just want to clean this bit off here before I fold it. And then I'm going to use this upper hole, put this in there. and tighten it down. And you can fold it up, put it in a suitcase, travel with it if you want. Then I'll take my microfiber cloth and go in there so you can see the fuzzies that came out of there. Because of course it's near the floor, so it's gonna accumulate the dirt, in my case the cat hair, little bits of wool that fall, all that fun stuff. Also, on the bottom of my wheel, I put these little no-slip pads because I work on a wood floor and it tends to just kind of slide away on me. So these work great, except when they get covered by, you know, cat hair. So I just give them a little scrub. I just give it a wipe down. This is just a dry cloth. If it's really dirty, you can use a damp cloth. Just kind of get all the dust and debris off it. You can do the wipe down after every spin, or once a month, or once a week, or once a year, whenever you like. Just give it a wipe down. All right, now let's look at where the drive band goes. You can see here that there is a buildup of some kind, but I'm running my finger over it. It's not grease, so it's not making it slippery, and it's not coming off. But if for some reason this gets too slippery, you can just take a piece of sandpaper and just sand the groove just to increase the grip. You don't want to sand it too much, like just a very fine grit sandpaper. Just give it a quick run through, just to give it a little bit of grip. All right, there we go. So we worked it all down. And now we're going to start putting this back together. So basically, if you've ordered a wheel, this is how it comes. Well, except your shaft will be attached, but we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to stand it up. So I'm going to take out this knob, and where they go into the wood, there is a metal sleeve inserted in there to help increase the longevity, because if you were screwing just straight into wood, it would strip. So generally what I like to do is I'll just give this a little bit of a polish back here. And I always use the white lithium grease. It's just safe for anywhere where plastic touches metal. You can get it in a spray, you can get it in a tube. I like the spray. So I'm just going to spray a little bit. Just a little bit on the threads. And then stand it up, put it in the hole, and tighten it down. Now you want to make sure that you do like a half turn past snug just to keep it in place. Sometimes when I'm spinning, this nut will loosen up, so I just give it another tighten. But like I said, you want to make sure that you're releasing it regularly or it's going to seize on you. So now our wheel is standing up. And we're going to start putting our pieces and parts back together. Now, first thing I'm going to do is give this a polish, because I don't think I did that yet. All right. Now, I'm going to just reuse my little felt pads. I put one there between where the wood, or that's actually, there is a, can't remember what that stuff is called. We'll just call it plastic, even though it's better than plastic. I usually put like just a little felt pad in there to kind of buffer this against the metal. So you put that on. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, this is why I like using the white lithium spray, is I can just go right into these little bearings and give them a little bit of a squirt. Now, where it touches the wood, it is going to discolor it. So just wipe that off. And then I'll just pop that onto the shaft. And then we're going to do the same thing up here. It fits inside that little bearing. And we're going to pop it on here. So now we need our C-clips. Here's a C-clip. And I'm just going to give that a bit of a polish. I'm looking at them and thinking, I'm going to have to get myself some new C-clips. I can probably just take this to the hardware store and find replacements, but I imagine Lendrum sells them on their site too, with their replacement parts. All right. Now, to install our C-clip, there is a little groove around the tip of this shaft. So we need to get a hold of our C-clip and get it into that groove, and then push it on. I like to get it lined up, give it a little shove with my hand. If you try to just push it on, you're going to hurt your fingers, but I will use the pliers to just snap it in place. But you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put my drive bands on. Okay, so let's pull that little C-clip off. I am going to secure this one down here. Both shafts take the same size C-clip. So you just get it started, then use the side of your pliers to push it the rest of the way on. The C-clips can be intimidating, but they're not really. But I'm going to take my drive bands. I'm going to put this one here. So you just want to go between this shaft and this, and then around the back of the wheel. So basically, wrap it all the way around your wheel, and then go between that stick and the wheel. So now once we clip this on, they're going to be secured behind that. All right. I highly recommend putting both drive bands on at once, so you're not futzing with it all the time. I have fat little fingers, so it's very hard for me to try to hold this and line it up, hence the needle nose pliers. I can push that shaft back so I can see that groove, get it started, then use the side of the pliers just to push. Oh, easier said than done. There we go. And it's secure. Not so bad, right? And we've lubricated here and we've lubricated here, but just inside the bearing. But you can see how easily that's turning. And hear how quiet it is. There's no resistance from anything on those. Now the next thing that we want to do as far as lubrication is down here at the treadles. We do not need to lubricate these because they're rubber, but in here, the treadles sit on a metal bar. So again, this is why I like the spray. Just give it a little bit of a spritz and then kind of just wiggle the treadle back and forth to sort of move that into that area. We'll do the same over here. Just a little spritz, move it back and forth. Now there's also another bearing on this side, but it's really hard to get to, but I generally just give a little squirt in there just to kind of get some lubrication in there. Again, this will discolor your wood, so wipe it off if that's a concern. And wiggle it back and forth. Wipe that off the surface. Okay, that is all the lubrication points at the bottom of the wheel. Now, we have both drive bands on here, and they're just going to hang around and be a pain in the butt, right? I'm going to take, this is the drive band for my regular head. I'm going to hang that out of the way. I'm going to try again. There we go. And we're going to take our plying drive band. The post right here is going to keep it from going any lower. You can get these little Velcro cable straps just about anywhere. And I just wrap one around the upright and secure that. Take my drive band. So just find some way of securing it out of your way at the back of the wheel. So that way you never have to reinstall it. It's always there. And if you want to change, then you just pull this one off and secure this one. And it's a quick and easy change. You never have to fight with your C clips. Although they're really not that hard to deal with once you know the tricks, which I just showed you. Now, the reason you want to have your plying head drive band and your regular drive band is because if you use your regular with your plying head, you're going to stretch it out. Now, it's not the end of the world. You can get replacement drive bands. You can cut them down, whatever. But, you know, if you want to extend the longevity, use your plying drive band for your plying and your regular for your regular. So that's the basics of the wheel. Let's put that aside. And let's talk flyers. This is your regular head and this is your plying head. You can see the obvious size differences. Okay? So, let's start with the plying head. This hooks into the back of there. And you don't want that to push that tight. You want to have it just like a hair's breadth loose. Okay? So we're going to take that off. We're going to take that off. We're going to take this off. So, as you can see here, I have some wool in there. This is our Scotch tension. Okay. Now, again, with the fluctuations in the seasons, your wool is going to shrink and contract and expand. So I've found that with age, this has become very dry and it won't hold where I put it. So I just wrapped a bit of wool around there, shoved that into the hole, and now it stays where I put it. So if you find that your break band tension is coming off on its own, try wrapping just a bit of wool around it just to increase the tension on that pole where it sticks in the hole, and that'll help. Now, my Scotch tension band right now, I think is just some plain acrylic yarn. And here, because the elastics that came with it broke a long time ago, all I have here is just a regular hair elastic that I've tied in the middle. Oh, I think these were the little ones, but regardless, I just use regular hair elastics. You don't need anything fancy. You just poke it through the hole, hook it over here, and then pull it through, and now you have your Scotch tension ready to go. Okay? And you just have a little hole on your peg that you just tie the other end of the string to, and you're ready to roll. The Lendrum wheels I find so user-friendly once you understand what you're looking at. Now, the other thing I've done with my plying head is you can see right here, I just need to clean it off, it's just a little patch of Velcro. And when I'm spinning, if I need to pause for whatever reason, I just stick the fiber to this little patch of Velcro and it holds it in place while I go do whatever it is I got to do. Periodically, you do have to clean a little bit of fluff out of it so it'll continue to grab. Now, this is the hook side rather than the loop side. And it will hold the fiber for you and it makes life so much easier. Let's have a look at our, have a look in here. Now you can see where I've been lubricating it. So now I'm just going to clean off all that old guck. That's all the old lithium grease just building up over time. which is not a bad thing. It just periodically I like to clean it all off and start fresh. And again, you can get these bearings. You can get replacement ones from Lendrum because they will wear out over time, obviously, because they're constantly, the friction on them is going to wear them down. Now, I haven't replaced them on my plying head yet, but I have replaced them on my regular head. But this is all nice and fresh. And then I'm just going to wipe it off around the edges. And then wipe it off of the wood. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing at the other end. There's another little bearing here. So we get our handy dandy little precision screwdriver and use that to push the microfiber cloth inside, because it is going to get caked with, you know, fibers and little bits of veggie matter and whatnot. So we want to get that all out of there so it's fresh, clean grease. So just give that a spritz. And now it's all lubricated. This becomes floppy over time. There's a screw into a nut. This is stuck to the Velcro. See how well that works? So what you'll want to do is when it gets too floppy, which side socket fits over that one? So this is a 3/8 inch socket, and that fits over that nut. These are all just basic tools. I'm not using anything fancy here. So pull that peg out. We're going to just use the socket to hold the nut. And then we're going to use the screwdriver to loosen or tighten as we need to. Because over time, it's going to become very floppy and not hold where you want it. So just tighten that up. And there we go. We're going to grab our plying head bobbin. Each bobbin has a little bearing in it as well, right? So they can use a little bit of lubrication. Now these ones are completely optional. I just do it because I like spraying. But you don't have to do that because this is your flyer head and this will be lubricated. So we want to make sure that the shaft is nice and clean, get any dirt or debris off it. You should probably do that before you put a bobbin on it. And then this is the part that goes into here, which we have lubricated a little bit, but the majority of your lubrication is going to be done on this brass piece. So the orifice, we're going to get all the old stuff off, and we're going to have a look at our whorls, and we can see again there's a little bit of debris built up in there. It's not slippery, so I'm not worrying about it, but if it gets slippery, then you can just take a little piece of sandpaper and just sand in that groove, but make it a very fine grit paper and don't go at it hard. You just really need to just scuff the surface so it can grip. That's it. This is one thing I like about the Lendrum wheels, is this little guide here that just slides back and forth on the air. You can take that right off too. I have a little bit of fiber built up on here, so I'm going to try to get that off. You can pop out the little bearing. All right, and again, these are all replacement parts readily available from Lendrum. When you want to put it back in, you just squeeze and spring. Squeeze your spring. Pop this in there. And there you go. Back together again. So we'll put this. You can see how this is shaped like a half moon. And this works like a half moon. And there you go. Except I like mine the other way. You can reverse them. So if you want your guide loop on this side through here onto your bobbin, there you go. If you prefer to have it the other way because of left or right-handedness, you can put it on this side. There's your loop, down to your bobbin, away you go. Now, we're going to put our flyer into our plying head with a bobbin. So lubrication. First spot, the outside of this brass housing. The inside is where your fiber is going to go. And it's hard to remember that because the hole is so big. But that is your orifice. Okay? So you insert that into that hole. Oof, grease flying everywhere. I think I'm going to have to get a new bushing bearing for that because it is getting pretty loose. So that tells me there's been a lot of wear and tear on that. So I'll probably need a new bearing there. Now, you really only need to do the tip on this, but I generally do the whole shaft. Just give it a little squirt. Pop on your bobbin. Press up and in. And there we go. Our plying head is ready to roll. So what we would do, take our wheel. Now, because we are using our plying head, we would change out our drive band. I'm not going through it right now, but that's where the handy part of having your drive band right there is. You don't need to pull off your C-clip or anything. You just keep right on going. So you can see this little metal peg here. That's going to find your slot and keep your head centered for putting in the next knob. Now again, because you're screwing into metal, you want to just give it a little bit of lubrication just to keep it happy and healthy. And then we will put that in. Give it an extra half turn. So we're going to put this on. Oops. Get it in the groove all the way up. Pull it up and over. So you can see you don't want this too tight. It's going to make it really hard to spin. Right about there is actually perfect. So on our smallest whirl, on our plying head, we can use a regular band. Okay? You can see how on the top one, that's way too tight. And it's going to stretch out the band. Otherwise, you're going to find treadling really hideously hard. So we want to change to our regular plying head. We're just going to unscrew this, pop it off, and then we can pop on our regular head. Now, I haven't cleaned this or anything. I'll do that, but I wanted to just go over the adjustments that we can make. So we can see, seems like the tension might be just a little bit too loose. So you unscrew the knob at the back and you just move the whole head up until you like the tension. That's a little better. But then when we switch to a larger whirl, pretty much if it's twanging like a guitar, it's too tight. So you just unscrew your knob, release a bit of the pressure, and there you go. So that's why it has that long slot in the back, so you can adjust your drive band tension. With the regular flyer, in the complete kit, you also get the fast flyer. Flyers are pretty much the same all the way through. You just want to make sure your grooves are clean. Change your grease periodically. See, this stuff's pretty fresh because I was just spinning lace weight not that long ago. So you can see how it's not coming off black on my fingers. So it's not burnt. The grease is still really good on that. But if when you touch it, it's coming off black, that means your grease is starting to break down and burn, and you need fresh grease. Let's just do a quick rundown of lubricating points. Lubricate, 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 and lubricate down here. Okay? This bearing in the center of the hub is sealed, does not need to be lubricated. So when they say don't lubricate your Lendrum, this is what they're talking about. Here, 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 and then your treadles, lubricate them all. All right. Now, hopefully that's given you an idea of how to take care of your Lendrum. And if you have any other questions or comments or queries, or you think I'm completely out of my skull and that I shouldn't be treating my Lendrum like this, you can let me know. But like I said, I've had this bad boy for at least 12 years. I think it could be much longer. And this has worked for me to keep it fully functional and wonderful, because I really do love the Lendrum wheel. I really do. I think it's a very versatile wheel, and I highly recommend it to anybody. So that's it for today. Like I said, any questions, put them in the comments. I'll get back to you. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.